Donald Trump supporters storm the Senate. Thom Hartmann reacts live as it happens on air. Like the video, comment, ding the bell, share with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel.
Occasionally, every now and then, C-SPAN is popping into live footage of the storming of the Capitol, essentially. I just retweeted a photo and a tweet from one of the, just somebody I follow who was saying they literally have stormed inside the Capitol building with Confederate flags and Trump signs. This, and she said, how does this not meet any definition of treason? And I think that's a really reasonable question. How is this not treason? What's going on right now? And what these Republicans are rising to do to overturn a democratically elected, in a Republican form of government, small r, election. It's nuts. So as we're watching this spectacle of a right-wing group that has been called to Washington, D.C. by Donald Trump, even Fox News this morning cut away when at the rally, Don Jr. was up there and he started screaming swear words at the crowd, getting them all whipped up. Even Fox News said, this is too much. We are watching an attempt, a fascist attempt to overthrow the government of the United States. That's what we're watching. It's nothing less than that. And I guess you could say in some ways it's more than that, in that there's a secondary agenda. Obviously, I don't think this attempt is going to succeed, but the secondary agenda, which I have been asserting actually is the primary agenda, is to provide a basis for individual states where Republicans control the legislatures to start passing laws to make it really, really, really hard for people who might vote Democratic to vote. Whether they're people of color, whether they're young people, whether they're elderly people, whether they live in big cities, whatever. If somebody is part of a demographic that more likely than not votes Democratic, the Republicans are going to try and figure out ways. They're going to use this election as an excuse, even though there was nothing wrong with this election. They're going to use this as an excuse to try to crank up, these laws. So that's what I see going on. But anyway, let's pick up some of your phone calls here. There's a lot going on. Joe in Clayton, North Carolina. Hey, Joe, thanks for listening to Sirius XM. What's up? Pick up C-SPAN here. Let's see what's going on.
Masks being distributed among the staff and the press up there because of the tear gas. So, Niels, it sounds like there's been reinforcements called to the Capitol. Yep. Niels Nasuski, I mean, what do you know?
Right now is the Capitol is in lockdown. The whole city just went into lockdown of Washington, D.C., apparently. The people's phones are going off all over the city. There is an armed standoff in the House, on the House of Representatives side of the Capitol building. Apparently some of the pro-fascist Confederate flag carrying traitors have provoked an armed standoff with the Capitol Police. And Washington, D.C. just announced a curfew from 6 p.m. tonight, which will be in 3 hours until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, this is what's going on. We have a group of fascist traitors, just like during the Confederacy, people who want a white supremacy nation who object to black people voting in the cities. I mean, this is the principal objection that we're hearing from all of these Republicans, is that these votes that came out of these cities and these swing states, oh my God, it's mostly black people, we can't have that happening. That's, obviously nobody's saying that quite out loud, but it's the clear subtext. It was very clear to me when Steve Scalise, the House Minority Whip, the number 2 Republican in the House, the guy from Louisiana who ran for Congress, saying that he was David Duke without the hood, got up and gave an eloquent speech about how important it was to throw out the votes in Arizona for Joe Biden and just certify Donald Trump as president. I mean, this is what it's come to. You have a fascist movement trying to overthrow the government of the United States as we speak. You have members of Congress, the House and the Senate, hiding in their offices, wearing gas masks under lockdown because this tiny fascist movement is just a few thousand people from the entire, I mean, keep in mind, 340 million people in the United States, and they were able to pull together 5,000 or 10,000 at the most of these white supremacist fascists that Donald Trump brought into Washington, D.C. with his rally this morning with him and Don Jr. and everything else. There's been smashed glass now as the Capitol Police have drawn their guns inside the Capitol building. These people have broken into the Capitol building. This is, I mean, this is not that different. Well, in many ways it is. I was going to say from 1860. I should stop drawing those analogies because it empowers them. What we're looking at is a small faction of hardcore, right-wing, white supremacist traitors, people who hate the idea of the United States. They hate the idea of a pluralistic country. They hate the idea that the will of the majority of the people is served. Part of it probably comes out of the fact that America is in the middle of a transition from majority white to minority white, and these people are going insane around this. This is their identity. This is the core of everything for them. And Donald Trump has been their leader, and he's been absolutely unabashed in his racism and in his cheerleading for this kind of racism. And this cannot stand. There have to be consequences for this. These people need to be arrested. They need to be thrown in jail. The legislators who went along with this, particularly the ringleaders like Ted Cruz in the Senate and Jim Jordan and others in the House, need to be held to account, if not politically, in other ways. And I'm not talking about violence or anything like that, but, legally. Have these guys committed broken laws? You've got Mark Meadows, who is now the White House Chief of Staff, used to be part of the so-called Freedom Caucus. I call them the Cokehead Caucus. These are the Republican members of the House who are there largely because of the efforts of the Koch network and other right-wing billionaires. And Mark Meadows, the Chief of Staff for the White House, for Trump, has been egging this on and promoting this. This is nothing less than an absolute repudiation of the ideals on which this country was founded by a small band. And we need to emphasize this, and I'm concerned that the media is not. That it is a small group of people who are not representative of the majority of Americans, and frankly not representative of the majority of Republicans. Although, the majority of Republicans did vote for Donald Trump, but I don't think they voted for this. I may be wrong. But what we're seeing, what I don't want to see, and I'm concerned that I am seeing in the media or will be seeing in the media, is you'll recall when the Tea Party, when the Koch-funded Freedom Works was hiring buses and busing Tea Partiers, and they get 200 Tea Partiers, and oh my God, it's national news. Let's see, all the networks have cameras down there. 200 Tea Partiers. Oh my God. While the Progressive Caucus is holding daily press conferences on the steps of the Capitol that lots of people are showing up for, but no media. And everybody thinks, oh, Jesus, this Tea Party thing is a huge movement. Well, this Proud Boy thing is not a huge movement. It's a bunch of right-wing crazies who hate the idea of an America where all men and women are created equal and endowed by their Creator with the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They are people who hate the core foundation of this country. The first nation in the history of the world founded on an idea rather than simply on genetics.